wrap up.
I was just recalling Toledo, and Michael didn't even want us to record him for our own Facebook because we had to like sneak around a curtain, and then we put it on Facebook, and he's like, "No, you did not just do that." Yes, we did. And it was good. It's still on there. So
great. That's awesome. And we're live. Here we are. Today we're talking about getting yourself out there. Feels like back in the dating world where you had to get out there and meet people and do things. But we're going to talk about that in regards to the business sense, right? I don't think I know. For roughly 9.5 years, I didn't get myself out there much. I was in private groups and do different things like that to help get my, start to talk with people. I wasn't doing presentations. I wasn't a name or face in the industry, things like that. And then Brittany and I went down to an intensive in Miami, and the guy on stage made us pick up our phone and do a video with our camera. And I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. And then finally something inside of me said, you have to do this. Paid all this money to come down here. So I did it with our camera, did a little video with him real quick. And now no fear at all of generating video content online anymore. And that's kind of how I got out there to start. But Brittany, why don't you kind of start talking a little bit about the process of getting out there, and then we'll talk about, getting different exposure, I would say.
Right. Well, why did we get out there? I think for us, it was just marketing and feeling comfortable. Michael and I are both kind of introverted. So feeling comfortable even on camera is like, it's like being in a big group of people. And I think what's interesting is a lot of people have that same feeling. Like there were many people who find it awkward to like shoot and do that kind of thing. But the value in doing it is to put yourself out there and become an authority. And that's kind of what we wanted to venture into, which slowly led into like speaking engagements and things like that. So, I'm sure we'll talk about tips and just becoming more comfortable in front of the camera, looking at the camera being one of those things. But yeah, Michael, what would you say are like some of your biggest tips if someone wants to do what we do, which is Facebook Live and speaking events and stuff like that?
I think you talk about looking at the camera. I think you do that. Now I'm actually looking at it because I actually said it, but you do that better than anybody. And I think you have a cute little tip that you have on your computer, but you can talk about that. I think it's, finally just getting the confidence that you have information to share. And, obviously running an agency for 12 years now, I have some experience in doing this, and, being a coach of other agencies as well, to help people grow has given me more confidence to be in this space as well. And then I think, just being on Zooms all day, looking at people, talking with people in this space, working from home, having a home office, that type of stuff has all made it much easier to get more comfortable behind the screen, and just give, a better presentation, I guess. Brittany, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the same thing. It takes me back to like speech class in college, where I was like super nervous to get in front of a room of 20 people. And now we do it in front of like 200 people, which is crazy.
You just said that. It made my heart because I don't even think about the number of people that are there every time we do it.
I know. That's the benefit of being virtual. It's like we don't have that. But Michael and I have done the in-person, and I think it's all mental, right? So going into these things, you have to I think I still have nerves. We just did one this morning and I was like, just kind of like amped up for it. And then you get into it and it's just like a normal conversation. And that was the same thing with our in-person speeches. When you start to do those types of presentations, you just kind of like ease yourself into it, and then you're calm. Like take a deep breath, tell a joke. Michael's amazing with engaging with people on that sense. He's super funny. And I think that breaks the ice for a lot of people. One thing I wanted to talk about is just knowing kind of like your brand personality when you do these types of things. It has to be consistent with what you guys are putting out there as far as your agency goes or something like that. Michael and I have a passion to educate, and that's why we always get on these and like talk, is because we're just trying to give advice, I think, for the most part, and just educate. It's not a sales pitch. We're not salespeople. But I think you have to have a good combination of that. So I would say don't always pull up a camera every time you're trying to sell something, because that's not going to engage your audience. But find just interesting topics that you're really passionate about, and then remember your brand identity. What are you trying to put out there as far as like who you are and what this business is about, especially if you're the CEO or any kind of C-suite level, you're representing the brand. So yeah, I mean, that's just kind of like a little bit of feedback there, but it's still a little nerve wracking. And we have a speech next year that's already planned, and I'm already like, oh gosh, that's going to be a nervous one because it's in person. So we'll see.
I mean, to be honest, it's one of the things for me, you know, you talk about nerves and stuff, and I always try to put it within, you know, scope of your life. You know, I refereed in front of 19,000 people. I still get nervous for this, right? Or for talking in front of 5 people. It's just, it's interesting how we do that to ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I think to your point, like, I mean, using a sense of humor or, you know, just making fun of yourself, I think everyone that's usually pretty funny. Right. It's just something I do, just like you said, to break the ice, to make it sound like you're not, you know, unapproachable. You want to be approachable. And then, you know, I think what we've seen from one of the people we've worked with, Josh Nelson from the 7-Figure Agency, is he does a great job of engaging people during his speeches. He's like, hey, give me a 1, or hey, give me a yeah, those types of things in chat if you want to hear more. And obviously you're like, well, I'm there, you know, I want to put, everyone's going to push 1. It's like very, very easy answers to get the right answers, to get interactions, things like that. We've given away t-shirts. We've done different things like that to keep people engaged, or like have movie quotes inside of our speeches, just to give it something different, a different flavor, so to speak, to keep people engaged and make them laugh and things like that. And then I think, to your point, really giving quality content. I think the one we just got off of, I think you mentioned that 2 or 3 times. Hey, we really appreciate the content you brought. You weren't trying to sell. And that's just how we are as an agency, is always about providing information, very much in the mind of, hey, you give and you get back, right? And if people see how you are, the approach you take, that's the people you want to do business with. That type of thing is kind of the approach that we've built the culture and the structure here around at 51 Block, and how we position ourselves on stage as well. And I also think, honestly, it's significantly easier having somebody as well. Like, it's harder to be up there by yourself and engaging with yourself. At least I know Brittany's always going to laugh at my jokes, right? Because she's a good partner in that space. She will always do that, right? And it just gives me more confidence when we're in that space. And when she does that, you know, it allows me to, you know, continue to do our thing and do that. And that's honestly one of the tips I would give you if you were going to do it, is have somebody else come up there with you. Like, Brittany and I talk every day. Her and I could talk even in front of 10,000 people if we had to, because we're comfortable talking to each other and we have each other's back the entire time, right? So I think that would be a tip to use as well. So yeah, something to think about there.
That, or just interviewing someone. Like you said about Josh, what I love Josh does is he puts it on his audience so that it almost takes like some amount of pressure off him to keep things going. And that's the whole idea. That's the concept behind engaging your audience, is that you have them take up some time, right? Ask questions, have them answer. Those are really important things. So I think dipping your toes in the water of like live streaming or any of these types of things, and you're all by yourself, just interview someone. Or like Lisa and I here, we did a little podcast, totally fun, has nothing to do with white labeling, but it's just like a brand personality thing. We wanted people to get to know Lisa and I, and have a way to connect with people who work in this agency environment. And so we just do it when we have a little free time, and it's just something to put out there so that people get to know us, and we don't even have to show our face. You just throw it on Spotify and let it go. So yeah, I mean, we wanted to talk about this because it's something that we see more and more of, and it has helped us, I think, in a lot of ways. It's opened some doors for us. It's been cool to like get excited about doing something like this. Like when we sign on for the one next year, I was like, last year, I don't think we would have done this. But we're comfortable now. I think we know what we're talking about, and we have good chemistry, and, it's just fun to share it with everybody.
Yeah. And I think it does lead to more comfortability on stage then as well. I remember the talk I gave in Toledo in front of, 20 people, and I was so nervous, right? I think if I went back now, I'd laugh at myself because I know how nervous I was in that space, talking to a bunch of hardware store owners. I think No offense, but I know more about digital marketing than almost all hardware stage owners. And I think that's the mindset you have to have when you get up on stage is, hey, there's two things. One, you are the expert in the room, usually. And if not, not everybody is going to agree with whatever you're saying. Like that's just going to be, especially in our space of digital marketing, right? Like they don't always agree or they have their own opinions, and that's okay. And that's okay to be in that space with that. So those two things is kind of what I always tell myself before we go in, that, you know, hey, we are the experts, right? We know what we're talking about. I think, you know, 10,000 hours, Malcolm Gladwell talks about that. I definitely, unfortunately, have ton more hours than that in digital marketing. And I think, you know, it gives me some level of expertise that allows me to talk to certain things and have handled a lot of different situations. So I think having that confidence going up there and doing that is part of it as well. And if I talk about the refereeing thing, we always used to say, you fake it till you make it, right? You fake it, you act like you're the expert until you're not anymore. Or until you actually feel like you are the expert, I mean. So you fake it until you actually make it to that solution. Anything else you want to kind of add here as we wrap up?
I was just recalling Toledo, and Michael didn't even want us to record him for our own Facebook because we had to like sneak around the curtain. And then we put it on Facebook and he's like, no, you did not just do that. Yes, we did. And it was good. It's still on there. So
great. That's awesome.
Go back and see how much you've grown. But yeah, I think it's just fun. Like it's take the opportunities, and I know they usually come through in like a cold email kind of way, but you can check those things out. If someone's like, hey, would you mind hopping on this? Or like one of ours came that way. Honestly, before I probably would have just thrown it in the trash, but it was cool to check it out and see if it was something that was a good fit for us. And then my tip about looking at the camera, I mean, I used to have like a little sticky note up there that was just like smile, or I'd have something up there just to remind myself. But I think it gives a better presentation. I think there's nothing worse than like staring at someone who's looking down the whole time when you're trying to watch them live stream or whatever it is, because it doesn't feel like they're talking to you. So getting really good about looking at the camera is.
So what's your tip there?
Well, I think you should just put something up there that reminds you, a face, a note, a whatever, that just reminds you to look up. Because I think people have a habit when they're live streaming of looking at themselves. And that's where you kind of, I think you just don't have the best presentation. So that's my only tip there. But yeah, so we wanted to make this one real quick. It's something that more people are getting into, and we've come a long way in the last.
Overcome our fears, right? Of doing it ourselves. So let us know, shoot some comments. We'll definitely answer them. If you have any feedback or anything, we just tested out StreamYard here. I think we're going to move to this instead of Zoom because the video quality is better. Voice quality seems to be better, and just you can do it on multiple platforms. So maybe we'll talk about StreamYard next time. But anyways, I'm doing it. So let us know if you have any questions. I'm Michael. She's Brittany. Have a great day.